Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is G, and I'm back with the second video of the day. I saw this earlier in the week, and due to life, I wasn't able to cover it, but I figured I would try to briefly address it now. If you're a fan of Clownfish TV or the Tanner Twins or Crimson Sin, you've no doubt seen this and seen their takes on it. So this is a change.org petition to cancel the planned live-action version of She-Ra and the She-Ra Princess of Power, right? That Amazon apparently is making. Now, there's not a lot of information out on it yet. No one knows who's cast. No one knows, um, uh, you know, what it's going to be based on, how accurate to the lore it'll be. I'm not anticipating it'll be terribly accurate to anything. But the one thing that has been made clear is that it will not be based on the 2018 Netflix animated series, right? Which means that it presumably is going to be based on the original 1980s cartoon. Now, again, how accurate it will be to it, don't know. Given the recent adaptations of works like He-Man, Cowboy Bebop, right, and many others, right? What was it? The Avatar, right? Avatar is getting a live action adaptation, and from what I've read of that, it's not going to be anything like the original cartoon. There's the Powerpuff Girls live action. Haven't heard anything about that in a bit after it effectively got laughed off the internet. But it does seem, that again that certainly had no intention of being accurate to the source material either. Right, so these live action adaptations or these animated remakes and reboots tend to be poorly received by fans. So, given this sort of recent history of all this, I don't expect this version, this live action version of She-Ra, should it come to pass, to be received well either. But what I find interesting is that you have over 1,800 people have thus far signed this petition. So presumably you have over 1,800 people who basically don't even want this live action version to exist. They don't even want it to get off the ground. Right? They are trying to stop it before it even starts. So let's go over this petition. I'll read it, and then I will give my opinions on it and my opinion on the uh, 2018, the what I should say is the Netflix She-Ra fan response in general to this news that a live action version of She-Ra is in the works, and it's not going to be based on the most recent animated series. So here's what it says. So we have a Beck F here, who started this petition to DreamWorks and three others. I think those three others are Amazon and two others. But it says here, today, Variety announced Amazon was beginning an upcoming... Jesus, let me try to fix the camera. Let me just make that smaller. There we go. There we go. I'm sorry, I'll start over. Today, Variety announced Amazon was beginning an upcoming production of She-Ra. This would consist of a live-action cast and stray completely from the original plot line of Noelle Stevenson's She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. Notice here how there's no mention or credit given to the original folks behind the Filmation version from the 80s, but let's continue. The issue behind this remake is that the LGBTQ community fought for years to be heard and seen in children's animation, only for all the hard work and perseverance conducted by Stevenson and fellow LGBTQ fans of the program to be stripped away by a live action that not only provides no closure to the 2018 story, but continues to place the male gaze on heroic women by creating them as objects for male pleasure. This is not okay. Question. for Beck F. Are you really Anita Sarkeesian? Or are you a fan of hers? Because I swear, that whole thing about the continues to place the male gaze on heroic women by creating them as objects for male pleasure is so Anita. I don't know what to do. Tell me, did you donate to her Tropes v Women video series back in the day? Just be honest. Just be honest with me. Here's the thing. Beck F provides no proof of what she claims. Right? I understand that this show is important to a particular demographic of fans, those being the LGBTQ community, though to be fair, not every single LGBTQ person is a fan of this show. There are many who were fans of the original, which for itself was pretty damn gay. I mean, did you not see Bo? Did you not see all the rainbow colors? But anyway, I don't understand this argument that the live action version is going to somehow erase the 2018 version. It's not as if they're going to uh, remove or erase all mention or all the episodes of the 2018 version. If this actually does get off the ground, then there will simply be at present, what, 3 or 4 versions of She-Ra, because you had the 1980s show. I think there was a movie in the 80s. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of the He-Man film. But I think there might have been a film in the 80s. So you have the original show, a possible 80s film. Then you have, well, no. I was about to say He-Man 2002, but then I remember that got canceled before they could introduce She-Ra in that show, right? So you have the cartoon, you have a possible 80s film, you have the 2018 version, and then if this film gets up off the ground, you'll have, not this film, this live action series. So if this live action series gets up off the ground, you'll have that. So you'll have, what, between like 3 and 4 versions of She-Ra. Wouldn't that actually be an improvement so that people can just pick and choose which version of the She-Ra tale they like? But no, apparently you must make a basis argument of how this supposedly negatively impacts the LGBTQ plus community. But here's the thing. A live action show doesn't have to provide any closure. There are plenty of shows that get canceled without providing any closure. Ever hear of the show Firefly? That didn't exactly get any closure, right? As the phrase has been floating around lately, maybe if this live action version is made, it's not for you, right? Isn't that the refrain that fans of the '80s version were told when they were unhappy with the changes that the Netflix version was making, that it wasn't for them? So what? The same can't apply to you now 3 years later, right? But here's the rest of it. Although although we are unsure what this live action will entail, it is apparent that DreamWorks does not have the best interests of the 2018 fan base in mind. You are correct, and it's not their job to have the opinions or the thoughts of the 2018 fan base in mind. As the other remakes that I stated made clear, these companies and these newer shows don't take into account anybody's opinion. They don't take into account the opinions of any fans, because they would treat fans a lot better if they actually gave a damn what the fans think. So you're actually right about that. But the thing is that they don't care about 80s fans either. They just care about what they want to do. Right, but it says here it does not have the best interest of the 2018 fan base in mind, as She-Ra movie has trended multiple times asking for a continuation. Okay, first of all, a movie would not be a continuation, it would be a movie. That's not a continuation. And 2, so what? Plenty of things trend. Plenty of things trend, and they don't necessarily pick up enough traction to give fans what they want. And look at it like this. Let's say they actually did give you what you want. Do you think it would be a product you would still enjoy? Sometimes the worst thing you can get is the very thing you're asking for. Anyway, DreamWorks, Mattel, Netflix, and Amazon. If you care about LGBTQ plus representation, you will cancel this live action in favor of an animated continuation of She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. Okay, first you mentioned a movie, which would be a standalone film, and now you're talking about an animated continuation. So which one is it? Do you want an animated continuation? Do you want a standalone film? Do you want both? Do you want neither? You might want to make that clear. Now let's see some of the reasons for signing. Because She-Ra deserves better, we need S Pop Comics and movie, not an irrelevant She-Ra show that is going to erase all the LGBTQ rep. Oh, how? Let's discuss representation for a moment, since you want to go there, honey. You mean the representation in taking Bo from an older, muscular, uh, white man, right? A warrior, to Bo, making him black for no reason, and on top of that, this is probably the biggest sin, making him the most bland black character I think I've ever seen in my life. Like, does Noelle Stevenson, does she know any black people? Has she ever met a black man? Okay, Bo is so vanilla and bland as a character that Steve Urkel is a better example of black masculinity. Carlton is a better example of black masculinity. RuPaul is a better example of black masculinity than Bo. Okay, so let's talk about that. You want to talk about representation, but how about the toxic relationship between Catra and Adora? Right? They never went into a healthy place in their relationship. It never went from being friends to lovers or being at odds and then coming together. No, even at the very end, Catra still abandoned Adora because she was under the impression that Adora didn't want her. Right, so let's talk about the mad love, right? The toxic nature of the relationship, because Catra never improves. She never changes as a character. She becomes desperate. That happens. And her desperation forces her into an uneasy alliance with the Princess Alliance. But she never changes as a character. People just forgive her. That's not a redemption arc, and Adora never should have went back to her. They shouldn't have any relationship, not even a friendship at this point. Right? So let's talk about that. How about Natasha and Spinnerella, who got next to no lines in the show? Right? We never learned anything about them other than, oh, they're an interracial gay married couple. How about Bo's dads? Right? You don't learn anything about them and their history outside of, oh, they're Bo's dads. You learn absolutely nothing about them. How about Huntara, who in the original version was actually based off of Grace Jones, an African American actress, and based off of Storm from the X-Men comics, one of the most iconic black heroines in comics and possibly just in geek pop media ever. What they could have done when they introduced Huntara was finally pull the trigger and actually present her as a black woman, right? Not do the whole paint her blue thing to make her look like an alien. But did they do that? Did they actually depict her as a black woman? No. Did they even get a black woman to voice her? No. They got Gina Davis, a white chick who hates video games and hates gamers, right? To voice the purple skinned, uber masculine power lifter, Huntara, who somehow got to Abby size while living in the desert, where food and water would be very, very, very scarce. But yes, props on the representation. They did so good that it was absolutely awful. If you want to go there, honey. Right? But anyway, let's continue. It says here, oh, it's homophobic. How? How do you know if it's homophobic when the dang thing hasn't even been? It's hardly been announced. It's just that the idea exists, right? We have no idea who's playing Shira, who's playing any characters. They could still make Shira not heterosexual in this live action version. That's not off the table because, as we know, these adaptations, be they animated or live action, don't take lore and don't take fan opinion into account. So there's no guarantee that Shira will be straight. So how in the world can you call something that you don't even have enough information on yet homophobic? Right? And then it says here that they doubt that the live action version would be half as diverse. Again, this uber focus on surface diversity. And it continues and continues and continues, right? So here's my opinion on this. This to me highlights the difference between, and I said this on my Twitter, but this highlights the difference to me between fans of a work who are critical of it and stans, right? Fans of a work who happen to be critical of the work want the work to improve. I saw many reviews from MJ Tanner, Crimson Sin, and many others over the life of the show. All they ever wanted, and all many commenters in the comment section ever wanted for the show, was for it to improve, was to give us more insight on characters, like take what's her face, Castaspella. She's hardly around. There was a perfect point after the death, more or less, of Queen Angela to really have Castaspella play a big role. And what happened? Nothing. Right? Shadow Weaver becomes Glimmer's, evil mentor character. Character influencer, but whatever you want to call it. You have Casta right there. You could have put her into the story, and have her sort of battle with Shadow Weaver over who's going to be the next mother figure and this influence on Glimmer. But no, you never get that. You never get to learn about Castaspella's past. Really, you don't learn much about King Micah's past. There was a little bit of story building and storytelling when they introduced Mara, right? But they didn't really do anything with that. And there were many other side characters, right? And even main characters. Again, like okay, Bo's. What is Bo's story? How did he even get to the to Glimmer's family, right? How did he basically get in good with the royal family, right? Especially since he doesn't seem to be from a family that say is like affiliated somehow with the royals, right? It's not like he comes from this family that was like sworn into service to the king and queen or something, right? So many stories, both with main characters and background characters and supporting characters that could have been explored and were not. The biggest sin that this show committed was the wasted potential of it all. Even with it being Shira in name only, it still could have been a good original take on it, even if it had no connection to the 80s property. But no, it was a bland show with bad art and with C level voice acting and worse storytelling. And yet you fight for this for some odd reason. I guess just accustomed to uh, poor 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 quality works. Just so long as it features the proper diversity, then it's fine, I guess. But here's the biggest thing. As much as I may not have hope for this Amazon live action version, it still has a right to exist. And that's why I'm making this video. Because the stands, in my opinion, should not have the right or the they shouldn't have the right to cancel it. And I hope, despite everything, it doesn't get canceled because it has a right to exist. Things that you don't like, that you personally don't enjoy or disagree with, still have a right to exist so long as they are not harmful to others. This live action show, whatever it turns out to be, is not a threat to the 2018 version. It's not a threat to the 80s version. It's not a threat to LGBTQ representation or any other representation. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean you have to like the live action show. Same way you don't have to like the Netflix show or the original show. You may like one or two and not the others. You may like it all, you may like none of it. But the live action show has a right to exist, and you see here that over 1,800 people want to take that right to exist away from the show. They want to cancel it before the show even gets off the ground, right? It's like with 6 Days in Fallujah. I did several videos about that a while ago. How people were trying to get that canceled, including voice actress Jennifer frickin' Hale, trying to get that canceled off of unfounded, absolutely baseless claims of how it was going to be harmful to Middle Easterns or Iraqis and whatnot. And I see a lot of the same or similar basis claims here, except now the group is the LGBTQ community. You can provide no proof that the mere existence of the idea of this show is a threat to anybody. It may be a threat to your sense of taste and your sensibilities, and that's fine. The 2018 show is certainly a threat to my taste and my sensibilities. But I cannot recall anybody who was critical of the 2018 show and said this must be canceled. I can't think of anyone who started a change.org petition to get the 2018 version canceled. But the moment the stands, and I want to be clear, it's the stands of the 2018 version, not fans, right? Fans are just people who have a passionate like of something, right? Stands are the people who do stuff like this. Stands are the people who remind you that the word fan originates in fanatic, right? It is stands like these that make fandoms toxic because they can't stand to have anything but their own way. Everything must be their way or the highway. And if you draw art wrong in their minds, if it's not exactly on model as it is in the work itself, well, then they're going to bully you until you change it or you quit or you contemplate doing very dangerous things to yourself, right? This is the work of a stan. Beck F is a stan. 1,800 stans have signed this, and I hope that it does not progress further, because stans are people who should not be listened to. If Amazon wants to do the live action version, let them do it. Let the fandoms of both the original show and the 18 version have their opinions. If people want to make hate vids, they can do that. They want to make positive vids, they can do that. That's all fine. It's all valid. It's all legal. But those videos can only happen if the live action show actually comes to pass, right? People may complain about the fan outcry or fan outrage of stuff like the Netflix version of Cowboy Bebop. In particular, the whole drama around the actress playing Faye Valentine. But again, no one demanded her job. No one demanded that the work itself be canceled. People are simply critical of it. Being critical is fine. Demanding that it not exist and your demand is based in unfounded, histrionic, exaggerated, absolutely baseless claims is the problem. things you don't like have the right to exist. And you, as an individual, have the right to not watch it. You can not watch it. You can watch it and hate it. You can watch it and make hate vids. You can just let it slide. But most importantly, you should let it exist. Because guess what? If we're all going to get around in this world, get along in this world, we have to understand that if people have the right to live as they want to, that means that they have the right to live in a way that we would not approve of. That's how we get along. By acknowledging that you cannot bend everybody to your own will. You can't always have things your own way. This ain't Burger King. But anyway, that's the video. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good day or night wherever you are. Bye.